Good afternoon and welcome to the Sabi Sands. My name's Scott Dyson and I'm really looking forward to this afternoon's adventure. This afternoon I'm also known as Jason.
Hello.
So very happy to be sharing Jason's last drive with WildEarth this season with him, and we've had a lot of good fun over the last couple of months, and it's going to be sad, very sad to see him go. So I'm happy that I have the privilege of having him as my cameraman for this drive and really looking forward to that. Just seeing the camp managers. Hello, how you doing? Cool, see you later. I think they've just taken a little kid out. They've got a very baby girl. She's only, I think, 2 years old. Very cute, and I think they've just taken her on a little bush excursion. Just taken this road because there were leopard tracks heading in this direction this morning, but we couldn't find where they ended up going, so I thought I'd pass by here and see if we got lucky. Mark actually found the tracks, and for those of you who are new, you may be wondering who Mark is. Mark is the other presenter, so we bounce between the two vehicles depending on whoever's finding the content, and it is a lottery. Some days Mark will find a lot and some days I will. It's a lot of luck out here, and you'll get to meet Mark shortly if you are a newcomer. For all the regulars, welcome back. So for any newcomers, it's important to realize that it is an interactive safari. You can ask us questions at any stage. And to do this, you'd hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, and questions at wildearth.tv would be your email address to send to. Now, I've just seen a very pretty bird called a little bee eater, and because it is very little, I'm going to have to try and creep a little bit closer, but Romeo has spotted it and has got it in its targets, in his targets rather. How close? Will it go and land on the same branch? They often do go back and land on the same perch that they hunt from, but this guy's playing hard to get. Did you get a decent shot there, Jason?
Negative.
Okay. Sadly gone into some dappled shadows. Let's just wait here a second and see where it goes, but Jason may be able to try and zoom in on it. Have you got it there, Romeo?
Yep. Sensor shot.
Good. Sadly it is in the shadows, so you won't be picking up as much of its pretty colors, and the other problem is my monitor isn't working, so I've got no idea of exactly the shot that Jason's getting, so that makes it a little bit difficult for me. But they're incredibly pretty birds, and their larger cousin, the carmine bee eater, has also been lurking about. I've seen two of them lurking about these clearings. I am actually possibly going to go back to where I've seen them and see if we can't show you them before we continue with the drive. Excuse me. It's a very hot afternoon. Thankfully there's a little bit of a breeze, and also thankfully all the clouds that we're building this morning have come and gone, so it's blue skies and no threat of rain, which is important because we are having our fireside chat this evening, and that will run from an hour after the regular game drive time, so after our usual 3-hour slot finishing at 7 o'clock our time, we will then broadcast a 1-hour fireside chat, and it will be our last fireside chat in a moment, where you'll get to hear some of the cameraman we're very close, so I'm just gonna whisper, but he was in all likelihood always going to move off. We're very close to him, but a beautiful young kudu bull, and there could be more around. The bulls often move together in small herds. And this one's horns are probably about halfway, so that gives you an idea of how much bigger and more impressive this antelope will look when its horns double in size. You'll also notice it's got massive satellite dish ears, and that's an adaptation that the kudu have due to the habitat that they live in, and these massive ears allow them to pick up audio of anything that may be creeping up on them, and they typically find themselves in thicker vegetation because they are browsers. They feed on leaves of bushes, therefore often finding themselves in thick vegetation as opposed to open plains. And having great eyesight in thick vegetation is going to be of no major benefit to you, but great hearing, being able to hear something creeping up on you, would be far greater. But as I was saying, before we bumped into this kudu, we will be having the cameraman and Alex from Final Control, who's been directing almost all of the drives. We'll be able to hear a few of their highlights and plans after this project comes to a close at the end of the month. So really looking forward to the fireside chats, and glad that the weather has cleared up for it. Ooh, I've just seen a very interesting bug, so I'm going to leave the kudu and go and look at the bug. Jason, oof. Oh, look at... No, it's... How's that going for you, Jason?
Pretty well.
Well done. Look at that. Beautiful. I wish I could have seen the shots Jason captured there. Seemed like he was in control.
It was horrifically out of focus, but it was there.
Okay, well, it wasn't easy, and that is a beautiful little specimen of which I have no idea exactly what it is. And what Alex in Final Control can do is hopefully get an image to Mark, or Mark can check the Twitter feed, and if somebody would be so kind as to screenshot that very interesting looking bug, our friend Mark, the maestro of the smaller critters, will hopefully be able to let us know what it is. And okay, I think we've already got an answer from Mark. Go ahead, Mark. Thank you very much, sir. So, Mark, who's actually in Final Control, just sorting out a few little bits and pieces. He hasn't got mobile yet. Thankfully, saw all those shots, and he says it's a more impressive beetle or bug than the emerald jewel beetle that we saw about a week ago. So, and he also identified that one. And he says this is one of the giant jewel beetles. It also probably is about 15 to 20 years old. And what Mark taught me is that a lot of these beetles and bugs that we find here can live in their larval form for a very, very long period of time, like 15 to 20 years before they metamorphosize into the adult phase. So incredible that insects can live for that long. And I've just spotted another little interesting critter that Jason should be able to show you. Can you see the spider from your angle? Probably not. Let me...
Yeah, you've got it. It's got
Okay.
it there. It's happy to be on film. It's all good. Signed the papers.
Good. Now that is a golden orb spider.
Oh, wait, there's a stick in front of it.
There can't be a stick in front of it.
I didn't think so. Oh, behind it.
Yeah. So that's a golden orb spider, not a very big one, and it'll be interesting to show you more as the summer progresses, because they will get a lot larger. We have seen one or two big ones that have obviously got their webs up in the right place and therefore are managing to feed on a lot of prey and grow quickly. But your average golden orb is about this size at this stage of the year, but they'll, from that one we're looking at now, they'll probably triple in size. And Mark, thank you very much for your wisdom on this topic and your help, and glad it came through so quickly. So an emerald jewel beetle, a giant emerald jewel beetle, was that interesting little bug that we managed to see now. It's such a pleasure having these beautiful big open clearings right outside our final control and very close to where we actually spend our day here at Jimma, because to start a drive in such a beautiful open area is always a good way to get going. And I'm just going to loop back through it in the hope that we may be able to see some of the carmine bee eaters that I've seen. I've seen them twice in this clearing. Both sightings were within the last 3 days, so I'm hoping they've kind of started setting up a little base here. And it is common for carmine bee eaters to pick a spot that they like and then spend a lot of time there. And they can even start to use specific perches where they like to hunt from, and you can see them there on an almost guaranteed basis once they have settled in. So I'm going to go back to the log that I've seen them on both occasions, and hopefully we'll be able to show you them eventually, because it has taken a while. I saw my first carmine bee eater about 2 weeks ago further north from here when I did a day trip into the Kruger when I had a day off. So they have been in the area for a while, but have not yet really set up shop, as I said, or got comfortable in any given area. Another useful thing about the carmine bee eater is that they do like to perch themselves on dead trees and hawk their prey from there, so that does make spotting them a little bit easier. Just gazing across to the dead tree that I have seen them on, and there's no sign of them there now, but we'll still continue past that. There's some grey hornbills calling in this tree. It would be wonderful to be able to show you them calling. Where are they hiding, Romeo?
I don't know, I've not seen a single one.
You can at least hear them calling. But for some, they're right at the top on the other side of the tree there. You might have a little gap there, Jason. Oh no. Oh, what it's worth. No, there they go. Off they go, but glad you got to hear them call. It's a beautiful call, the call of the grey hornbill, or southern grey hornbill, I think is the official name. Oh, I forgot about the tree that the carmine bee eaters have been spending time in, but what I'll do is I'll show it to you so that when we see them here tomorrow, you realize my point that they do like to hunt from the same place. So I'm hoping tomorrow we'll be able to show them to you sitting in this fallen down marula tree, and that's where I have seen them on 2 occasions in the last couple of days. So somewhere on that dead tree tomorrow we will hopefully be looking at a beautifully colored bird. It's a pinky red color, and one of the larger bee eaters in this area, or the largest, I think it's fair to say. So really impressive bird. Oh, look what we found. It's the rare and elusive VM and Mark combination heading off into the unknown. I think they'll be heading over to the spot where we run the fireside chat from in the evening, and dropping off a few bits and pieces that we need to set everything up for that little episode. So they're getting that ready, and really looking forward to this evening's fireside chat. But there's still a long time, well, not a long time, 2 hours and 45 minutes until that happens. And in that 2 hours and 45 minutes, I hope that we're going to get entertained out here. This morning was a little bit difficult on the predator front. We had quite a few different sets of tracks, but all heading into areas that are quite difficult to follow up on. You get some areas that you'd prefer to find tracks where there's a higher road network which allows you to check more easily for tracks of the animal, whereas there's other areas where there's big blocks of wilderness where no roads take you, and if the animal's in the middle of there, it's very difficult, or heads into one of those big blocks, it's very difficult to follow them or their tracks, especially in the summer with such long grass and thick vegetation. In the winter you may find pathways being formed that animals use, and that makes it easier to track them once they do veer off the road, but in the summer it's a lot more difficult because a lot of these pathways are overgrown. That being said though, there's nothing to say that we couldn't bump into 5 leopards this afternoon without even tracking one of them. You can get lucky. The most I've ever seen in one drive in the Sabi Sands, and this is adult leopards, not including cubs, is 7. So it is an area where you can get extremely lucky with leopard viewing. There's a little squirrel bounding across the road.
You know what they say though, Scott?
Tell me.
Cats like to play.
The cats like to play. Jason just reminded me of the bloops that I made on one drive. I thought I would say a well-known quote or proverb, which was more along the lines of, when the cat's away, the mouse will play, but I just said, cats like to play. So, and then realized that I'd gone way off as soon as I said it. So it's been a lot of humor for the team, telling me, reminding me about that little bloops I made a few weeks back. So thank you for reminding me again, Jason.
Keep on doing that.
It's very hot now, as I've said before, so not expecting anything major to happen, but anything is possible. So even though we're not expecting anything huge to be happening at the moment in terms, especially of predators moving, we could bump into a breeding herd of elephants at a waterhole, and the plan is to eventually end up at Twin Dams and Treehouse Dam, hoping that some animals will be seeking out the cool, refreshing water on this hot day. We may well do a little bit of a drive through a riverbed, which is one of the coolest places. It's the lowest lying and therefore the coolest, and also very shady due to the vegetation that grows along the riverbed. So we may do a short drive through the riverbed, which I look forward to. Jason, what would you like to see on your last drive or film, or if you could choose one thing? Try and keep it semi-realistic.
So no like penguins?
No dinosaurs, no penguins, no mermaids.
Let me think about this one.
Okay.
I don't know, it's already seen so much.
This is true, we've been spoiled, absolutely spoiled.
My bucket list has been done, what, twice over?
Okay. Well, that's good feedback. Twice over in 2 months, you've done very well. Or 3 months, rather. Well, that's easy to please. Anything goes. I'm happy with that, so I'll take that as your answer. Unless you would like to change it.
I don't know, something in a tree, something amazing in a tree.
Something amazing in a tree. I like that. We can work with that. Something in an amazing tree. That's even better. Okay. I got you. So, I'm sure you all copied that. Jason wants to see something in an amazing tree. It doesn't have to be something amazing in a tree. The tree is the key focus point here.
But I mean, one giant ball of amazing.
Okay.
With a tree involved.
Okay. Well, good. We can do that.
That's realistic.
Negative. I didn't. Negative. Beaver's Nest, Pan Road, Twin to Dragon's Advantage. Mark, will you be ready to say good? Alex, did you copy that message? Is he live now? Affirmative.
Rather a unique moment. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our wonderful Sunday afternoon drive. Quite incredible that they were all making their way up from the dam in an easterly direction, and they've all turned straight towards us. So something turned them to come right past us. And the one beautiful thing about this is that I think, if we're lucky, there's one female that's got the broken horn is going to be walking right in front of us. It's quite evident that she's lost her calf. Hello, little boys. That's the one that's got the warts on her neck. But we're not going to worry about that right now. We're looking at Brian's mom, this wildebeest with the broken horn. And I would say that she's lost her calf. I haven't seen her interacting with the calf in the time that we've seen it. But one of the things that I wanted to look at is that it was evident, or it looked like, when she was walking down to the dam the other day to drink, that the horn was actually loose and was actually swinging as she walked. Although she's moving her head quite a lot at the moment, and I'm not seeing that horn moving at all. But maybe it's an optical illusion sometimes. But that was rather interesting, that they were walking up, they were heading west from the dam, and something turned them and brought them right past our vehicle, and they almost like parted, kind of a Dead Sea parting type of thing. Some of them moved behind us and some in the front of us, and they are now, or maybe they're just accepting us now as one of theirs. And but I still think that something moved them. They saw something, or something disturbed them heading this way. I was on my way down to Gowrie Dam. We're not far from Gowrie Dam, in fact, if Wim moves the camera. My name is Mark, by the way. Wim is on camera with me this afternoon. Welcome to WildEarth. Welcome to Djuma Game Reserve. We're on our live PM safari. Sorry, with my other glasses. Got to find them. Djuma Dam or Djuma Waterhole, Gowrie Dam. Goes by a few names right down below us. And the camera that I'm sure a number of people have been watching, and they've probably seen these wildebeest down at the dam for the day. I'm so sorry to have missed the elephant that were there. We had 4 elephant bulls that were playing in the water. They must have been a lovely rough and tumble sort of game that they were having in the water. I noticed that they displaced a few buffalo just on a little bit of the photographs and footage that people posted to me. Sadly not anymore, and I would expect on a hot day like today we would have some elephants swimming, but it does mostly happen in the heat of the day. Still a lot of buffalo down there, and we're going to go down there and see if we can find that calf that is either abandoned or orphaned. And I think it's quite a wonderful thing that this buffalo calf that is really quite young, it's only a few months old, seems to have found solace, or seems to have found some comfort with these big old dugger boys that are hanging around in the mud all day. And it is the safest thing for a calf. It is the best place for it to be, hoping that another breeding herd, another big herd of buffalo might come by at some point. Only thing is that I need to go and investigate why it is that they turned the way they turned, unless there was something that they picked up, maybe some scent from the lodge. And once again, there's the bull looking back behind us, and he's... I know what it is. I see a pointer, a German pointer at the lodge, inside the electric fence. Lodge owners and dogs. And that's what they've moved from. So it's not a leopard or anything. It's is it a foreign object, Mr. Wildy? Yes, it's a foreigner. Just snorting once. So we don't need to investigate further. What I'd like to do, we go down to the water hole. See what's happening with this buffalo calf. I think it's going to take a long time to see an end to the story, unless lion come along, or even a calf is big enough, or rather small enough for that matter, for one of the bigger leopards to take it out. It is an unfortunate thing. It's almost as though this calf is doomed. But I don't like to preempt things. It is going to have the protection of these big old bulls. If anything, if lion were to come anywhere near it, they would probably go into defensive mode, as they would in a herd situation, as they would do in a big buffalo herd. And hoping that at some point, well, even if we can see it, I'm not even seeing this calf right now. You want to swallows on water. And the geese with 6 goslings. I think that gosling that we were watching that was a little bit slow, something had happened to one of the goslings and it wasn't quite keeping up with the rest. Well, I think we can safely say that that gosling is not a gosling anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 goslings left. I'm not seeing this buffalo calf. So I'd like to know, any of you were zoomies today, if any of you might have seen that it walked off or where it went. Maybe it's hiding behind one of these big bulls. It's such a tiny little thing. Could easily be lying behind a bull lying in the water. That bull has quite a scrotal hernia going on. He's lying down in the water now. We're not going to see it, but he's got quite a serious scrotal hernia going on. That one lying down on the left there. It must be quite painful. Very, very swollen scrotum. Or maybe just uncomfortable more than anything else. And there is a cow here as well, actually, believe it or not. I mean, that looks like a buffalo cow to me. The one of the three, the one on the right of those three, that one that's sort of looking to the right, she looks like a cow to me. I don't know if she has anything to do with that calf that is here. But it's not really unusual for buffalo to be separated from the herd when a herd is moving around, and for those individuals who are suddenly find themselves alone, suddenly find themselves separated from the herd at this time of the year, to find the likes of these big bulls, these old dugger boys as we call them, and to maybe you get another breeding herd coming around, or the same breeding herd finally making their way back here for them to rejoin. Because for them to set off and go and try and find the big breeding herd, this sort of 200-300 maybe 500 strong herd of buffalo, unite themselves or rejoin a big breeding herd, they're putting themselves in danger, and the only place for them really at the moment is to stay with these big bulls. The safest place for them is these big bulls. And it's just a younger bull, it's not a big cow. Sorry, I didn't see that big thing hanging between his legs. But he's a younger bull. He's not a big bull. Anyone can make that mistake. He had his back to us. Didn't have quite the boss of a big bull. And he should be with the breeding herd, actually. He's not old enough to be a dugger boy. He's not old enough to be one of these retired old men that just want to lie around in the mud all day. He should be breeding. He should be very active within the breeding herd. And whether or not he, much like the young calf that has been here, was separated and have joined up with these old boys. We did see a cow. We have seen in the past, we have seen similar thing with a cow, even a small family group of cow and calves that were left behind by a big breeding herd that have joined up with old bulls, and over time they rejoin the herds. A very interesting bird, by the way, making its way towards the buffalo, just to the left of the buffalo. And it's a bird that we only find on the water, especially on rivers here in the Lowveld. It's the pied wagtail. We haven't seen one yet. and only associated with water right there at the buffalo right now. It's hard to see it from this distance. Pied wagtail. Cape wagtail, quite a common wagtail. Now, I believe you get wagtails up in Europe too. Okay, copy, thanks. That update was from? Deerfield, Ohio. Thanks, Deb. Thanks for that update. We've had an update from Deb saying that that calf went off grazing with some of the other buffalo bulls that might have been here. And while I'm going to extract myself from this little sticky situation of being right next to the water, we're going to go over to Scott, see what Scott's got for you. And I'm going to go and look for some pachyderms. So, see you in a bit. Oh, you see this catfish that came out here?
Oh, no, that's good.
Welcome back, folks. We're in the riverbed, and no good thing. It's nice and cool. Just really enjoying the scenery here. I'm hoping to come across the leopard, but difficult to say whether we're going to get lucky or not. But what is guaranteed? Well, some of you are paying attention and notice that I'm actually not driving the car, somebody else's. Afternoon, Jason, how's it up there in the driver's seat?
I just thought I'd feel what this feels like. It's been pretty amazing, but I actually feel like I belong behind the camera. Scott belongs here. But I just take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone. I've had so much fun. I've learned so much, and I hope to see you all very, very soon. But I can't do this job anymore, so I'm out of here.
Where's he gone? He's just left the vehicle. Well done, don't worry, we've got it. Well, this was a close call, and it didn't end up as well planned as we would have liked to. The vehicle usually sits in the track. We just thought we'd have a little bit of fun on Jason's last drive, and hope you enjoyed that. We did get there just in the nick of time. It was unpracticed sequence. Usually what happens is the vehicle stays in the tire tracks, but we ran out of deep tire tracks. Therefore started veering off into the bank of the river. The way. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of lights entertainment we just offered you. And it certainly is a different experience for me just sitting behind the camera for a few brief moments there. I feel more comfortable here, and Jason feels more comfortable back there, and that makes perfect sense. It sounds like Juma Waterhole has a lot of action. You got to see that. Get off a good start mark. We'll be looping back onto the shortly, and we'll see what's going on there at Dams. Nearly ended, but thankfully we recovered just on. one thing that you do find happening out here is you find small, strange little things like what we've just done. Highly entertaining, and I guess the lack of many other things to do, we tend to have to get a little bit having fun out here. Glad you enjoyed it.
The most I've run in the past 3 months. No jokes, I ran once.
Because you tend to find we are working at the best hours of the day to do exercise, and
there are elephants and lions where you could possibly run.
Yes, running into elephants and lions is also a problem. Well, there's a few buffalo bulls lurking about here at Twin Dams, and that's no surprise. They do like to relax in the water at the heat of the day, and I believe you did also just see some buffaloes at Djuma Dam with Mark, so no surprise to find them here. It would have been great to find some elephants that tend to be more active around waterholes, although having said that, at this very second the one bull decides to start performing for us, so that's lucky. And an oxpecker just landed on his back, so all the animals have decided to get involved in the opportunity to be in the spotlight for a few moments. Intimidate Jason, so it's just bent down a little bit. Now these two Egyptian geese that we're looking at over here have got a nest nearby, and we're looking at over here have got a nest nearby, and noticed this nest a couple of days ago, but confirmed that they were actually nesting in it yesterday when we were spending time in this area with Kunyuma. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to head across to their nest now and show it to you, because it's absolutely remarkable what happens with these geese and other geese and ducks around the world, depending on the species, but a lot of them do nest up in trees. But unlike other little bits and can then fly for themselves, geese and duck can be different in that they don't feed their chicks. Their chicks can feed themselves from the day they're born, and therefore the chicks need to plummet out of the nest in order to get to the ground, and it can be very high, and you'll see shortly exactly how those two Egyptian geese's chicks are going to have to plummet to the ground before they waddle their way down to Twin Dams, and that itself will be a bit of a trek because it's not very close, but it's going to astound you how high these chicks are going to fall out of this dead knobthorn tree that they're nesting in. There's some Inyala crossing the road. We might hopefully get a last few glimpses of them before they disappear into the thickets. Okay, so you can see the nest there, Jason?
Yeah.
And then maybe, I don't know if you can pan the whole tree to give, once you're done there, once you've done with the zoom in, to give people an idea of how high those chicks are going to have to launch themselves. Thankfully there's a lot of fairly soft vegetation, a lot of undergrowth that will cushion their fall, and they are obviously designed to do this. So they are still very flexible and soft and probably are unlikely to break anything. But hard to believe that they are going to plummet all that way once they've hatched. That would be something marvelous to be able to witness. I've only ever seen footage of it once on a documentary, and it was so cute. They'd got some incredible shots of these young, I can't remember if it was ducks or geese, but them propelling themselves out of their nest and landing on a bed of leaves. And wouldn't that be nice to see? Sure, our timing is going to have to be extremely that, but there's always matter. Copy, thanks, Alex. Well, thank you for your kind remarks and comments regarding Romeo and myself's little switcheroo of job hole there temporarily. So glad you enjoyed it, and thanks for all the kind feedback. We also thoroughly enjoyed ourselves, so it's a win-win situation. Now though, it's time to find something exciting, and ideally something exciting happening in a big beautiful tree, as that would fulfill Romeo's requests. But I'm sure he'd be equally as happy with anything exciting anywhere.
100%.
So that's one thing all of us have learnt, and for those of you who will spend more time with us out on safari, you will learn that it's not only lion hunting buffalo that's exciting. There's a lot of small, weird and wonderful interactions and animals that we can view here that are less well known. And any of these we'll be interested in seeing. It's not just the big things. Okay folks, but it sounds like Mike's got something interesting going on his vehicle, so let's get across to him and see what's happening over there, and we'll catch up with you shortly.
Hi everyone. Well, we've come to the other side of the dam, and I was going to be heading up Boo-Boo Road. I was going to go and look for those elephant bulls that were here earlier. But there's a juvenile fish eagle. Now I don't know if you managed to catch it on camera earlier, but it's clearly been eating something, and I would imagine it's been eating a fish. But it dropped down very low off of a branch, and I thought it would have been going to the water, maybe to have a bathe, to wash off the fish. I guess I was wrong. I'm not sure what Scott's up to, but I just thought we'd come back to me quickly, just in case there was something interesting. And I didn't want to scare the eagle. There it is. Oh, but wait, before we get to that, here comes another eagle. A minute, I thought it was one of the African hawk eagles. But it's that pale-faced Wahlbergs. That very pale Wahlbergs that we see from the nest down on Twin Dams Road is coming over. The fish eagle has flown into the tree, so whoever's doing the cam on whoever's zooming at the moment, from the, I suppose, sitting up there where the hardy-daws normally sit. And that was the Wahlbergs flying around. So I was a bit excited that something would happen. And we're going to carry on. We're going to go up Mvubu Road. We're going to see if we can find out where these young elephant bulls went after they were playing in the dam. It was quite a while ago. They could possibly be miles away by now. But it is a hot day, and my guess is that, well, they're likely to be just sitting, well, not sitting, but they're just moving slowly up the drainage line where the tall grasses are, green grasses. They don't get the opportunity to feed on these grasses for most of the year. And it's only now, especially now with the flower heads and the seed heads starting to form, that these grasses are probably at their most nutritious. And well, it'd be nice to see if we can catch up with these boys. But back to Mvubu Road. And maybe, I don't know how Scott's doing, but maybe we'll just go back to Scott while I'm getting back to the road. Or you can stay with me. Questions at WildEarth.tv if you want to know what we're doing, or what we're up to, or if you want to know about animals, or if you want to ask about eagles, if you want to ask about insects or spiders or anything you want to know, you just let us know. Send an email in, Alex will send it over to us, or you can even tweet it. Hashtag Safari Live is sorry, bumps. You still there? No, not that easily. I'm sorry that we parting ways. I'm hoping we're gonna. Are we not going there? Oh, we're not today. It's been great having them on camera, I have to be honest. It's been a great crew that we've had. We're going to be around the fire tonight. We're going to have our fireside chat starting at 7 o'clock at the end of the drive. I don't think weather's going to spoil it. Blue skies, 360 degree blue skies. Squirrel. I can't see it. Go back or forward? There he is. Yes, there we go. Look at that little face. Now, in the way. But by the way, that fish eagle, by the way, full crop, it's been eating something. I was going to ask if there are any zoomies that were on camera. You must have seen, or maybe you didn't. But that fish eagle must have caught something because it had a full crop, or it was feeding on something that it found on land, but I'm guessing that it maybe caught something from the water. I think it was only the day before yesterday. We were with that big Ellie bull, the one that we had this morning, that was at the marula tree this morning, that lovely big bull. We saw him down here at Guyatela, just in front of the lodge. And he was feeding on a lot of the tall grasses, and I'm thinking that maybe some of these bulls might have done that, but they also might have moved quite far by now, as Alex says. There's an old viewer. Hello, Tom. Hartelijk welkom. And I don't know, I'm trying to think of how I could say it in Dutch, but welcome, Tom. Hartelijk welkom. And nice to know you with us. Again, Tom has been a viewer for a long time. Tom's in the Netherlands, wanting to know about a black mamba. Wanting to know if it's a dangerous snake. It is, Tom. It is unfortunately dangerous because it's not only it's a very highly venomous snake. It has a neurotoxic venom, which means that the venom attacks the nervous system, and it's very, very powerful. So it attacks the nervous system very, very quickly. And that means that the heart and lungs and everything shuts down. The limbs, one becomes completely immobile, and your natural muscle ability ceases to exist. So even if you can consciously think of beating your heart or breathing, it's not possible, because the neurotoxin just suppresses your nervous system completely. The other unfortunate thing about a black mamba is that it is big. It knows it's big, it knows it's dangerous, and it's irascible. It's very easily copy that, Scott. Okay. But the black mamba is a short-tempered snake. I think if you have to look at us as humans or dogs or a bunch of other, in fact there are probably a number of creatures that there's just some individual or some, actually it's not so much us humans, but breeds of dogs, as there are species of snakes, where some snakes are mild and some snakes are easily excited, and some snakes just don't take much to get them aggressive. Black mamba is one of those. So that, coupled with the fact that it's a venomous snake, make it a dangerous snake for people who perhaps don't know how to relate to them in much the same way as a lion is dangerous, or an elephant is dangerous, or a parabuted scorpion is dangerous, or a wasp is dangerous. Treated with the right respect that it is due most of the time. Of course, it's not a hard and fast rule, but most of the time nothing is going to happen. And as long as you don't antagonize it, it should be fine. There are, however, extenuating circumstances with us humans, because we often don't really see the signs that we need to see. We don't find, or rather we don't recognize when animals are giving off subtle signals that should tell us that they mean business. There are a lot of snakes that, even though they might be venomous, they're not really that dangerous, because they don't pose a threat. They're not short-tempered. They're very mild-mannered. They're only after whatever they can find in whatever habitat that they live in. And I'm speaking of things like worm slung and to some degree the lion snake. Can't include any of the cobras, but the Mozambique spitting cobra is a relatively relaxed snake. I mean, you could, unless you really hassle the snake, it won't stand up, and unless you really hassle it more, it won't open its hood. And it's only after you really not getting the message that it'll start spitting, and it even takes a lot longer or a lot more than that for it to bite. But of course, having said that, and having maybe made an assumption based on humans' interaction with black mambas, I have to say that I've spent many hours, years, on foot in different parts of Africa, where I've met up with black mambas on foot, and I've never seen them aggressive in those encounters. I've had some aggressive encounters being in a Land Rover, because they might shoot across the road and this big thing is bearing down on them, and they rise up more for the Land Rover being there, this big thing in defense, rather than me as a person. So I never take it personally, never take it as a direct assault on me. I understand why mambas rise up, and that's the other thing you got to remember as well. Black mamba belongs to the same family as the cobras, the elapids. So it has this ability to stand up. It doesn't have a hood like the cobras have a hood. I suppose it doesn't need that. some impala up ahead. But it's frightening to have a black mamba standing up next to a Land Rover and being aggressive towards it. It's fearless. And fearful. I don't know if you remember when these little babies were born, but the grasses were only starting to grow. And the grasses are starting to hide the baby impala. There's another bingo quote. Cold water on a hot day. I think some people might know where that's coming from. Who's that on the big tree there? Looks like a shrike to me.
What tree is seen as right?
The dead tree?
Okay, dead tree.
Right up at the top. It's far away and we're going to try and get closer. I'll try and describe it. It's got a black mask. Looks like a little bit of a grey cap. White to cream belly. Dark upper wing. I'm going to try and sneak forward. I know I'm almost in a mind to turn around. We've got a nursery group of impala lying in the grasses in the shade, and I'm not going to get closer to the shrike. The only way to do that is I'm going to make these... Oh, they're standing up anyway. That's better. Okay, one more. If that other impala stands up, then I don't mind just trying to sneak by, because it's not going to be disturbing them too much. There's Mom. Not that one's Mom. Another one. Tom, I hope that answers your question. Mambas can be dangerous. Mambas can be a formidable snake if you find them cornered, if they may be in a house, if they find their way into places where they can't see an avenue of escape. They, like almost anything really in nature, attack may be the best form of defense, and so they're likely to strike out. They're already old enough, these lambs, that are now going on 2 months, 2.5 months. They're already old enough that we can see which ones are little boys and little girls. And here's a little boy just next to us, right next to us. You can see his horn buds coming out. Most beautiful light also. If we come back here in a couple of years' time, he'll be one of these impala rams that are leading the bachelor herd. Hello, little boy. Is it somehow you know that we're talking about you, that you come up to the vehicle? Magic moments. Of course, we lost our shrikes. So for the birders out there, I'm going to ask you to hazard a guess. I'm sending that out to RC, who's in the Netherlands, Raisa in Finland, Mr. Tobin, you know where you are. Alex, who are you talking to? Okay, copy, thanks. Scott's tracking putty cats. Jason's with Scott this afternoon, by the way. And some people have been asking, yes, Jason is, there's another little boy, this one that's lying down. His horn buds are also starting to pop out now. He's going to get up, as I was going to say. He's going to get up, yeah. See, he looks like Jason even. So yeah, a lot of people are asking. Jason was supposed to have left today, actually. But he has a rubber arm, and I twisted it, we twisted it, we all twisted it, we all... Right, children, we're going to see you later. We're going to carry on with our drive for the time being. And there's the ram just pushing through the guarri bush right now. But yes, Jason is going to say goodbye. Jason will... He will... come and say goodbye. The Safari Girl. Safari Girl's been part of our safari for a long time too, actually. From days of Juma and Thorny Bush. Clarify poisonous and venomous. Well, that's my opinion. I don't know how Oxford Dictionary describes it. It's the way I look at it. It's the way I see it. But it's the definition of it. Poisonous is if you ingest it. And it's wrong to call a snake or a scorpion poisonous because they are not poisonous. You can eat them, they're not going to poison you. But if they get their protein into you, it's called venom because it's called envenomation. It's because it's venom. It's not poison. You can drink poison because it is a rather confusing myself. You can drink venom, you can swallow venom. It is a protein. But introduced into our bloodstream in the way that scorpions and spiders and snakes are likely to do so, hello zebras, is a process that defines it as a venom, not necessarily a poison. Poisons are alkaloids and mostly things made by plants and of course some mammals. This is the stallion. We've been watching this herd. Now I don't know if those of you who are with us this afternoon are from earlier today. But one of the things that came up when we were watching zebra is whether they're so unique that each one of them is different. And I was trying to point out that there are certain shoulder patterns or facial markings or rump patterns. It doesn't really matter which part of the zebra you look at, but if you look at one patch on a zebra and look at the same area on the body of another zebra, and you could look at every zebra in Africa and never see the same thing twice. So yes, they are as unique as we are. Unfortunately, we don't have stripes or anything, so we've got to look at fingerprints to try and really set ourselves apart. But that's the equivalent of a fingerprint, or a barcode for that matter, for those who are more technologically minded. Big stallion, those are his mares. There is a little foal. I'm going to try and they let us spend a bit of time with them this morning. This is a herd that seems to be around at the moment. They've also been spending time with the wildebeest, or rather, it seems to be the other way around. During the day, the wildebeest know that there's not much chance of anything happening, but early morning, late afternoon, let's go find the zebra, because the zebra are going to be the first ones the lion are going to chase, because they're all black and white and all standing out like a sore thumb in the middle of the green grassland. Thanks, Joan. I think Joan was the first answer there for our red-backed shrike. Who else, Alex? Yeah, now Robin. Yeah, that little foal down the road wants to play with the little impala, because none of the zebra want to play. Look. But I think the impala don't really know what it wants to do. Okay, so that shrike. I'm wondering. Really, Tom, you want me to answer that one? Tom's asking, are they white with black stripes or black with white stripes? Well, they're zebra. They're neither. They're just zebra. They're just black and white. How's that for diplomatic? because really that's what they are. They're zebra. Sorry children, kind of spooked them a bit. Let them calm down. I guess that was his favorite mare, the one he was rubbing up against. And the little one is still walking around after Impala trying to make friends. And they just run away from him. That's what I'm trying to get closer to see. Sandy, New York, and we're going to try get the camera on that Sandy, that black dot on the inside of the front legs. It's almost like a callus really, but it's not quite. I know that you get it in horses, and I know from previous discussions with our viewers, it's called a chestnut, I think, in the equine world. Its function, I don't know. It might be a place where, I don't know. It might, I have no idea. There's that little foal now, it's having a good grooming session with its mother maybe. Most likely its mare. Stopped. Okay, that's interesting. Alex just giving me a bit of info now. That evidently it protects them against hoof wear when lying down. I can't see that, but what I can see is that it is a vestigial dew claw, because essentially that is pretty much how high. If you look just below that, that joint that looks like a front knee is actually the wrist, by the way, and it's got exceptionally long wrist bones with those, but that single finger. The zebra is a single-toed ungulate, or rather it's also one of the odd-toed ungulates, but it only has a single hoof, which means it only has a single finger, which is the equivalent of our middle finger, which means that the other four toes have over time become redundant because of the way zebra have adapted to their environment. I'm playing with zebra. He's doing spots, I'm doing stripes. Good team. If you look at my fingers on my hand on the dashboard, I know I'm digressing a little bit, but for some reason over time, I think somewhere along the line everything had 5 digits, and as the foot developed a greater ability to adapt to whatever conditions were necessary, whether it was speed, whether it was soil conditions or damp conditions, whatever the case may be, the feet of every animal adapted in a different way. And zebra are one of these things that are probably one of the longest living, in that over time, first the thumb would have been lost, as we see in things like cats and dogs, where there are only 4 toes, and even hippo. We'll forget about all the primates for now, but basically all of the 4-toed animals, the foot lifted up in a way that you actually, it's sort of kind of, I can't bend my fingers, but all we see of the pad is that part of the pad and then the toes, and the toes shortened but the foot lifted, and there was no need for this thumb anymore, or the big toe. That became what we call the dew claw in cats and dogs. And over time, they eventually got the three-toed, which we can say are the rhino. They're also an odd-toed ungulate, and those are the three toes that a rhino has. And then over time, I don't know whether it's those two or those two, but I would imagine it is those two toes for all of the ungulates that, or the bovids that we know, the two-toed, the even-toed ungulates. And then the top of the chain is the zebra that sits on one toe or one finger, and that hoof, and like a horse, that hoof surrounds that one toe, rather than having 5 toes surrounded by a single hoof. I don't know why nature didn't do that, but they're single-toed. And in that process of losing the thumb or losing the dew claw, if you look where the wrist is, it could well be the vestigial dew claw. Alex is saying that research shows that that's what it possibly could be. I have to go with it, since I don't know anything other than that. I've noticed it all my life, I've never really questioned it. And there we look at the stallion. Obviously he's got a much bigger black patch on the inside of his elbow. That's the forearm actually, it's way above the wrist. It would be like the equivalent of a tattoo on my forearm. I can't believe it has anything to do with hooves. Some mare's getting frisky. I also want to thank those of you who reacted to oh, look at that little one. Did you catch that? Because that was good. I sometimes have to watch the road. I don't often do that, but this time I had to. That's the young colt at the back, just in front of the stallion. I'm sure he's not going to be tolerated for as I said that, the stallion's moving him on. That was funny. I think that stallion's losing his patience with this young colt, maybe. So, just another view of the zebra. We've got to fill them as much as we can. This little piece of Africa here at Djuma Game Reserve. Huge weather front that looks to be hanging over the escarpment above the mountains. But maybe just a little bit into the light with the grasses. This time of the year the grasses are going to be the best color we're going to find as flowers are fading. Well, not fading, they'll be around for a while, but not as many as they were a couple of months ago. Until the next rain. The young colt's hiding next to his mare now. The other side of the stallion. Stallion is Fleming, or he's doing the Fleming grimace, bearing his palate and mouth to the air. It's a bit difficult with this light. I wanted this light because I like this almost semi-silhouette, or just wait till there's dust if they start playing. And as the impala lambs start growing up, the rams are starting to select their ewes and starting to become quite dominant. We're starting to see the beginnings of, not quite the rutting season, but the beginnings of impala dominance, the breakup of some of these bachelor herds. Change angle. They found a shady patch and we sitting in the sun, filming into the sun. We have got to be crazy. But it was just beautiful light. But now let's be sensible. Some nice light and wait for that elephant to come over the hill to come and feed on marula fruit. Hello Sarah, this is Sarah in California. How are zebras' teeth different to that of horses? Very slightly, Sarah. In fact, I think one of the major differences is in the stallion versus the zebra versus horse, in that to a large extent in domestic horses the canine tooth of a stallion has almost been bred out. That it really, if ever, appears, and I'm only going by what I've learned from people that I know and who are horse people. I've spent time around horses, and I love horses, and I'd rather just walk with horses than ride on a horse. I'd rather just have a friend as a horse and walk with it than ride on top of it. But I have done horse riding and I enjoy their company. I don't know who it was, it might have been Paul Gallico. Somebody once said that the dog is man's inferior, yet a horse is man's equal. But the other side to that is that the cat is the superior. But horses are so amazing. And getting to know horse people, I've asked about it because I've known in zebra, in adult zebra, especially, well, only males really, they have a very prominent upper canine tooth. And in horses, the stallions that I've known in the horse world, it's only really a rudimentary thing in the jaw. Sometimes it's not even there. Maybe it's because of the bridle and all of that happens, and that's the way it has been bred out of domestic horses. Other than that, I think their incisors are identical. Then of course the molar set, obviously there will be a slight, no, I wouldn't say identical, okay, might have been a little bit misleading there. Not identical, but of course very similar. I don't think I have anything here with me that has skulls. Maybe my tracks book does. I'll look in the library. There might be a zebra skull in my track book. Yes, there might just be. Don't know how good it'll be to try and put it through to you as the viewer, but maybe the best thing I can actually do is show you a zebra skull, because I know where there is one. But I can't do that right now. If we go to Scott, I'll go and fetch it and I'll show you next time. Doesn't look like there's even a zebra skull in this book. There are a few skulls, but not a zebra. So let's go and see what Scott's up to. I'm going to go find you a zebra skull. We can talk about zebra teeth. And I'll be seeing you in a short while and monitoring this big storm brewing in the southwest. Cooling things down nicely, actually.
We managed to follow a set of tracks briefly this morning, just before we closed down, close to where we were looking at that giraffe. I did mention we found some tracks there and went back into that area and found fresh tracks where the leopard had actually stood on top of my footprint from where I'd been looking at tracks, confirming how much they were. It's fair to say I've probably had an equal...
Hi everyone. BM and I are just discussing this enormous weather front that has just suddenly appeared. Well, it hasn't really suddenly appeared, but it was there earlier and I disregarded it. But it is moving over quite quickly. It's moving north fast. It's probably following the escarpment, the Drakensberg Mountains in the west, and heading north. But there might be a tail hitting us, because I can see the curvature of the storm cell. And these hot days are normally, or they normally precede good thunderstorms. So we might see that flashing in the west tonight as it moves up the escarpment, and with a bit of luck some more of these things building up every day for the next few days until maybe we get one, because we need it. Things are starting to look a little yellow rather than the luscious green that they should be, but it is January and February is a little bit more of a rainfall month. February is a lot warmer. We've had some cold temperatures. Early morning, leaving Manjaleti at 5 o'clock. It gets a bit chilly sometimes driving in. And suddenly a temperature spike that can only mean a weather change. I wonder if those giraffe appeared at Gowrie Dam today, Juma Waterhole camera. If there's any zoomies that might be able to send Alex a message if those giraffes pitched up, because if they didn't, then they're still somewhere nearby. Some of you might have remembered there was a time we had that lovely big elephant bull feeding on a mushroom just underneath a big marula tree here on quarantine, and after he moved off, I went to stand where he stood and we didn't move the camera, so it was the exact same shot and gave a really good idea of how big he was as an elephant, because he was a very big elephant.
Black-billed hornbills.
Pardon?
Black-billed hornbills.
Black-billed hornbills. Oh, you mean, yeah, them. Grey hornbills.
No, no.
There they go. Oh, landed in a branch that was...
It's a squirrel now.
Hello, squirrel. He's ready to fight. Anything comes out of the bush, he's ready. Except for maybe a leopard or an eagle. That's the ninja squirrel. That was lovely. Guinea fowl coming out at the back. Squirrel running out. Why are you running up towards us, guinea fowl? You're going, went in where the squirrel was. Really? You're chasing a squirrel, guinea fowl? That's a bit optimistic. Biggest thing you've eaten all year is a grasshopper. Welcome to Africa, and all sorts of little things that happen out of the blue. Ninja squirrels and blue-headed guinea fowl. Scotty has survived his walkabout. He's been on some leopard tracks. You might not have felt that, but we've dropped down right into a dry riverbed, denser vegetation area. We were up on the open area, which is on top of the rises where there's grassland. This is heavily wooded. Trees don't grow very big here. Some of them that do get ring barked by elephants, like this one coming up over here. And just feed the soil for new trees to grow so that they can feed all the elephants and everybody else. Sorry, but I was stopped by a squirrel. He shouted, "Stop, in the name of love." Looking for his love. And of course there's no mistaking that he's a he-squirrel. Some things here that he's not very happy with. It's not the same one we saw earlier, it's a different squirrel. I'm guessing that he probably been scratching around for marula fruit in the elephant dung that's in the road. But with very long grasses, you've got to be very careful where he treads. And I just disturbed another squirrel that was digging in this elephant areas in that bush filler. Also scratching around for marula fruits. These squirrels live down in this drainage line where there aren't any marula trees. So the only time they get to taste marula fruits is when elephants come by and leave a few behind that they didn't digest. Thirsty. Is it true, Marsha? Hello, Marsha in Kentucky. That a lot of people keep guinea fowl as early warnings against predators. Well, certainly one uses them. It's not really a case of... I don't know how to answer this one, Marsha. It's really... I don't think people consciously keep them as they do chickens, as much as it is guinea fowl can become semi-domesticated in a lot of suburbs all over cities and towns in South Africa. People have guinea fowl in their garden. I know my mother does. And at first it was about putting out seed for seed eaters and mind the antenna. Seed eaters and other birds, and then eventually it ended up that it was just all about the guinea fowl, because the guinea fowl came in and they just took over, and it got to the point where they'd come and knock on the lounge window, on the sliding door. Yo, where's our seed? A benefit, but very high. The cloud that's coming over is at least.
Welcome back, and myself and Jason are still on the search for the leopard and the perfect tree. So we have yet to find either. So you've come at a good time because you haven't missed anything. I'm slowly linking back now to the last tracks I had of him on the road, which were about a quarter of a mile ahead of us, and then I did loop ahead to where we are now and then cut down into the drainage line to our right, where I did see some leopard tracks. I'm fairly certain they would have been his, but I'm 100% certain that the tracks on the road are from between drives. We were here this morning. There's tracks on top of our vehicle, tracks on top of my footprints. So I just want to go back there and have another look around, and just by being in this area, we increase our chances drastically of hopefully finding a leopard. And it's along this very same road that Jason spotted a leopard, possibly the same leopard we're looking for, Kunuma. a couple of weeks ago when we had stopped to look for a pygmy kingfisher, and Romeo managed to spot the leopard slinking off through some very thick vegetation, and we then managed to have a few good sightings or a few glimpses of him. Now this is where, let me just chat with Mark quickly. Go ahead. I'm on the link between Shabam Road and Treehouse Dam. Did you copy about those tracks? They came out on this link and onto the road and then cut back down into the drainage line that feeds into Treehouse Dam. There's tracks on top of my footprints from this morning. It is indeed. Anyway, so we're just snooping around here, but we'll catch up with you a little bit later. Oh, really? Okay, perfect. Where should I head towards? Okay, copy, perfect. Thank you. I did see that on the monitor. So thanks, Jason. And folks, you would have noticed my footprints there with the leopard tracks very close. The one which was on top of my footprint was difficult to see, but I'm sure you would have got an idea from what Jason showed you there. Alex, what's the plan for this transition? Copy. That's perfect. But I think we might as well just let everyone know because, yeah, we'll just let them know what's going on.
I feel like the president.
So we're just going to go and meet up with Mark quickly and swap cameramen, sadly. There's actually somebody who's come to interview Mark and Jason. So before Jason leaves tomorrow morning, we need to get this interview done. So okay, copy, perfect. So that's what's going on. We're just going to swap cameramen quickly, and then that way Jason will be able to spend a little bit of time with the person that's come out to interview himself as well as Mark. Sorry, go again, Mark. Okay, copy, perfect. I'm just turning onto that road now from the dam. Copy, so he's still live. Okay, so sorry if there was a short break there. It sounds like Alex had some trouble in the final control. And you may be wondering what person is coming to interview Mark and Jason about, and it's about the elephant incident that Mark and Jason had on the vehicle today. So just somebody coming to get some insights into what happened, and it is a rare occurrence, and very good that it is going to be documented accordingly. So that is what they are going to be doing. Okay, you can switch to him and then they'll get us coming through. Okay.
Okay, nothing's happening. Okay.
It's meant to when there's nothing to say, Romeo.
Okay.
And sorry about all the transmission issues, not sure what's going on there, but we're about to do the transition of cameraman. So, explain briefly why, Mark.
You did?
Yes, so
Okay.
just so you're in the loop there.
Alright, good.
How's your ignition issues? Not sure what's going on there, but we're about to do the transition of cameraman. So, explain briefly why, Mark.
You did?
Yes, so
Okay.
just so you're in the loop there.
Alright, good.
How's your evening been?
No, it's been lovely. Gee, I haven't had so much fun with zebra in a long time.
Good.
It was really amazing.
Good
Good
stuff.
light. Good. Have you noticed how fast this thing's coming in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But and it's spreading right over the sky too.
I wonder what this will bring, Mark. What are your predictions?
I think it's rain by the end of the week. I think it's still,
Okay.
this is still going to move up along the mountain like it does when it builds up. It'll build up
Okay.
for a couple of days going over there, and then hopefully we'll get one of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Romeo,
It would have
it's
been
been
nice.
real.
Been a pleasure.
It would
We'll
have
see you
been
at the
nice
far
to
side.
catch you driving that little S-Bend. We'll have to.
We're going to go and find that leopard now. Are you ready, VM?
Obviously we're gonna
Happy,
find
happy to go look for a leopard? Okay, toodle do. Yes, look forward to it. There's some yama in the fridge if you want. Cool.
it. Now we just need give Romeo his cards.
Romeo, your card. Okay.
Thanks. Enjoy your drive. Have fun.
Toodle do. Good luck with the interview.
So famous.
Alright, sorry about that, folks, but it was necessary, and now we will resume with the adventure. Welcome on board, VM. I don't know why I'm rushing. I've got a feeling that we just need a rush to get to this, back to the spot where we did have these last leopard tracks, but in second thoughts, let's just take it slow and enjoy. Racing is certainly not going to be the solution to finding the leopard. It could, of course, mean if you drive slowly, your timing could be right, or if you were to drive quickly, your timing could be right, to bump into it crossing a road, for example, but nobody knows which would work, and I'd rather take the more comfortable option, which is to drive slowly and enjoy it, and therefore not oversee anything else that may be lurking amongst all these hiding places, and there really just are so many hiding places at this time of the year. It's been incredible to watch the vegetation grow and develop over the last few months. It's unbelievable how quickly it thickens and greens up here. Really important for me to make sure I don't overlook any tracks. And there was two Impala tracks that were right next to one another that got me excited because they resembled the track of a cat to a degree. So VM, just to fill you in, the last tracks we had were on the other road to our left that runs to Shabam Road, and his tracks were on top of my footprints and vehicle tracks from this morning, and he headed in this riverbed up towards Treehouse Dam. I did see some of his tracks in the riverbed there, and they were quite close to the dam where I had his last tracks, but subsequently we have found nothing of him popping out anywhere here, so not sure if he's still lying around or has changed direction. But at least now you know what to look for or where to look. So, just under an hour remaining, and it is my favorite hour, this final hour of the evening drive. If I could choose a time to go out, it would probably be around 5:30 to head out, ideally, and then come back at around 8:30, depending on what's going on. Because it is just far more pleasant at that stage of the day. And that is the nice thing about coming to any of these lodges, they are very flexible. So if you'd like to sleep in the morning or wake up exceptionally early to make sure you're out in a beautiful spot to watch the sunrise, the guides will often oblige and do whatever it is to fine-tune your safari and really make your stay memorable. So that is one of the perks of coming out here to these lodges. They do really look after you well. Torn as to what to do now. But I'm going to take a risk. Keep searching for this leopard. Anything could pop up along the way. And we do know that he is nearby, so I think it's worth investing this time in him. And as some of you may have learnt over the last few weeks, we have sometimes got lucky by investing a lot of time searching in an area where we know a leopard could be moving. Even though we've been looking up and down, there are just so many hiding places that if it was lying down behind anything, we wouldn't see it. So I'm convinced he's nearby, and with a bit of luck we'll find him. Liam actually spotted him the last time when we spent a lot of time tracking him in a riverbed, and there was literally only 5 minutes left to broadcast, and boom, VM spotted it. The first 2 times that he said there it is, I thought I was imagining things, and it was only on the 3rd time that I actually clicked and then looked where he was pointing and was hugely overjoyed to see the leopard that we had been looking for. We spent quite a long time looking for him, I think about 2 hours backwards and forwards. Just got a question through from John in Connecticut. Afternoon, John. Welcome on board. John is asking whether we've heard any news on the Birmingham boys. They're, for those of you who don't know, a coalition of 5 young male lions, ranging from about 2 to 3 years of age, roughly. And actually, no word on them. And one of the other game drive vehicles from further west of us asked me the same question over the radio this morning if we've had any sign of them. So, not too sure where they could be. Sadly, it'd be wonderful to see them again. They really are some beautiful young male lions, and they've provided us with some seriously good entertainment over the last few months. One was a live buffalo kill that we actually managed to capture in the beginning of December, so that was an incredible sighting with them. And John, thanks for your kind words. Glad you enjoyed this afternoon's ride. I thought I'd just seen a tick on a blade of grass, but it was another small bug, and I just wanted to show you if it was a tick, as it was something I was speaking about the other day, how the blood-sucking ticks climb up onto these grass seeds and that way can hitch rides along with any animals that brush past. And one of them managed to latch on to me yesterday. But thankfully my marula antihistamine cream, or sap, that I retrieved from a bleeding marula tree that had been attacked by an elephant. If you can try and get this bird. I tried to show people this morning, but it flew off. This is a ground scraper thrush. It's a very pretty bird, and one that we don't see very often, and I just hope it turns around, because you can see a few spots on its throat. Its whole chest is heavily spotted and really pretty. It's landed just further back there. You got it? Got it there, Vian? The next tree. It may turn around and face us, but there you can see a few more of the spots on its legs. Really pretty bird, and glad I got to show you, because this morning when I tried they flew off and we only got a glimpse of them. That could well be a new bird for the bird list. Ah, there are the spots as it went down to clean its beak or sharpen its beak. I think you would have seen a few more spots. So we were looking for a spotted cat, but we ended up finding a spotted bird, and I'll take that. Close enough. Okay. Thanks, Liam. Well done there. Just got a question through from Jennifer in California. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm seeing things. Yep, seeing things. Well, I saw seeing the leopard lying right there, but it was just a small termite mound. And we'd been out walking around a little bit here, so that would have been interesting. Oh, reverse by touch. Until you hit something, you can keep going. So Jennifer's question was whether there's been any updates on Karula, and the last potential updates I have is about 3 days ago. There was tracks of a female leopard, kind of in the sense of our property heading southwards, and followed those tracks. That disappeared and hasn't been any further sign. It could well have been her, but wasn't necessarily. But just judging by the area she was moving through, it is her territory, so could have been her. But strangely, she hasn't been spending much time, or as far as we are aware, excuse me, on Djuma. We've seen very little sign of her, and I've got used to only seeing male leopard tracks on this property because there's Kunyuma in quarantine, as well as Mvula and potentially Tingana that move through here, but have hardly seen any tracks of a female, which is sad because it would really be nice to know what she's been getting up to and how she's doing. Imagine if he's lying in one of these bushes nearby and he's like, these guys have driven past me 5 times now and still haven't seen me. That could well be the case. If we don't have any further luck here, I think we may need to head out into a different area. I'm not sure if I can put myself through driving down those same roads again. So let's just drive this road, and then from here, if there's nothing, no sign of him, we'll continue to where there were some other leopard tracks this morning and see if those don't produce something for us. There's a strong chance he continued in the riverbed that flows down from Treehouse Dam, which is on our left-hand side here. He was heading in the same drainage system just above the dam. So depending on how far he moved, he could well have just crossed over one of the hard roads by the dam, and I wouldn't have been able to see his tracks. And therefore we may have been looking in the wrong spot if he had already made it this far. But we're looking here now, so at least at some point we are spreading the search a little bit. Not a very nice piece of wood, but I think I shall take home as an ornament for somewhere. It's a piece of a leadwood tree, really beautiful, and this will be a little souvenir to remind me of the wonderful time I've spent here on Juma. And isn't it just incredible, the textures and shapes in this beautiful piece of wood. Many, many fond memories, and there's still a week to go, so there's certainly space for a few more memories to be squeezed in. I'm really looking forward to what the new week brings. If it's anything like the last few weeks, we've got nothing to worry about because it's been sensational, Arch. It really has been so lucky with what we've been seeing. Okay. Well, that leopard won the competition today, and we lost. That's how it goes, and more often than not, attempts result in a failure. But you've got to try, because unless you try, you've got no chance of finding them. Well, not no chance. You could come around any corner and bump into one, but to rely on luck alone to find these animals, you would go for long stretches of time without finding them. Afternoon, Bob. Bob's just asked a question all the way from Iowa, and my father actually studied in Iowa. He studied chiropractic there. Pretty sure it was Iowa. Anyway, Bob's question was whether female leopards will fight and chase other female leopards out of their territories, and yes, they certainly will. It's the same for lions, leopards, and cheetah. Females will compete between females for typically smaller territories, and males will compete between other males for bigger territories, because a dominant male will often acquire enough territory with leopards, for example, to be able to mate with maybe 4 or 5 or 6 females that his territory encompasses theirs. So female territories are typically smaller. And the same goes for lions with their coalition. So prides of lions, which are the lionesses, will fight between other lionesses for territory. And coalitions of males or single males will fight for territories. And if it's a single male, maybe he'll only have one pride in it and therefore spend a lot of time with them. But with the bigger coalitions that we get out here, we tend to find that 4 or 5 males may have a territory encompassing 4 or 5 prides of females. And they move between those prides and mate with any of the females that are in season when the time comes. So I hope that answers your question, but they certainly will fight with other females. I've never seen leopards fighting, not male on male, not female on female, but it does happen, and it would be an incredible thing to witness. Oh, the temperature now is just absolutely perfect. A wonderful evening. Oh, I just need to spike up the tempo a little bit with some action. But where the action is unfolding is unbeknownst to us, which is the problem we are facing. Mosquito just bit me on the hand here, and it's really itchy. So, to fill you in on where we are now and what could potentially happen, there were tracks of a leopard, also a male, heading in this general direction about a mile from here. Mark found the tracks this morning, and I then went across and had a look once he had done his searching, and couldn't make out anything further than what he also had established. And it's a big block that the leopard did cut into in this direction, but again, by putting ourselves into this area where he could well be moving, we could get lucky. Just got a question through from Jeffrey in Texas. Good afternoon, welcome on board. And Jeffrey's asking if anything's made out of the wood of leadwood trees. And yes, a lot of furniture is made. It's even used structurally in... Oh, this bird's awesome. The one on the road there, VM. This is called a Coqui Franklin. Look at how pretty that bird is. And we very seldom see them. It's easier for us to spot the other Franklin. But this one, called the Coqui Franklin, we very rarely see. And as you can see, oh, it wasn't interested in hanging around, but wasn't that great? Such a pretty little bird. And the first one I've been able to show you. Well done, Firm, on your speedy camera work. So hoping that's another bird for the bird list of all the people that are doing bird lists out of our viewers. And it is a good way to get into birding by starting a bird list, because it just excites that natural competitive edge we have as humans to want to know more. And by starting a list, I find it helps people get involved and also just keep track of what you have seen. Having said that, though, I never make lists, so I am not exactly practicing what I preach, but I know it does work for some people, so use it or don't use it. I know I don't, which is naughty, but it is a good way to stimulate a bit of excitement for birding. And there was a red-chested cuckoo perched very close by on a branch. But it fluttered away as soon as it realized our intentions. One thing that I would love to bump into is a hyena. It's been a long time since I've had a view of a hyena. Although we did hear their audio this morning, which was great. It's a pity we haven't been able to find their new den site that they moved to, because that is kind of essential for hyena viewing. Unless they're at a kill waiting for leftovers, you battle to get good visuals of them without having a den site. Copy, thank you, sir. So, just a reminder for any of you who may have joined more recently on this evening's show, there is the fireside chat to look forward to, and that'll be kicking off in about 25 minutes. Once we've finished with the afternoon drive, we'll go straight into the fireside chat, and it will be the last fireside chat, and it'll be a chance where you get to see a little bit more of the cameramen and hear what their plans are for the future after this production ends, and also potentially like some of their highlights or anything that stands out for them. So it'll be nice for you to be able to see a little bit of them, and we'll obviously also be answering questions as per normal for the first part of the show. So really looking forward to that. We could well also be braaiing some meat. A braai is a barbecue, and an important, very important part of South Africans' lifestyles is cooking meat over the coals. We pride ourselves in our skills around the fire. So that'll also be nice. Sadly, you won't be able to taste any of the meat, but you'll be able to see the process underway. Every corner we go around, I'm hoping to see a leopard pacing down the road towards us. Come on. Look. It is beautiful. And this little stretch we're about to go through, or are going through. Cool. Should I reverse? Keep going? I do that. Just got a question through from Doug in Connecticut. Because I have mentioned that I feel that guides don't spend long enough in sightings, and I'm sure if you did ask them to stay, that would help. The other thing that you need to bear in mind is a lot of the time, especially at these lodges in the Sabi Sands, there will be 6 people on a vehicle. So if you are here as a couple, you could be with 2 other couples. And what's difficult for the couples for the guide is that he's catering for 3 different couples. So the way to avoid that is to pay extra money and hire a private Land Rover, which most lodges do offer the service of having your own guide and just the 2 of you on it. And that way the guide can cater simply for your needs. That would be the best advice I can give you. But also, I mean, a lot of the time, obviously guides will listen to their guests' requests, and it could be the guests' lack of knowledge and thinking that they may think that racing around, oh, this is beautiful, they're coming right out into the open. Well done, VM, for spotting this. So yeah, Doug, there's no definite easy solution to that, but those are a few potential solutions to the question. Get your own private Land Rover, which you'll pay extra for, so that there's no other couples on the vehicle. Or just try and convince your guide to spend longer with animals and rather have one leopard sighting, but a quality one, or at least potentially you've invested time and you've given the opportunity its best possible chance to be good. And then, you know, the next drive, focus on looking for lions. It is risky business because, as you'll know, there can be lion and leopard around every corner here, and we might not know which one to go to on one day, and the very next day they can all be gone. So there's risks and gambles involved. That is one way of doing it, Doug. The other way to do it is to take a private guide along with you. So that's something that I have done in the past and intend to do in the future. And essentially, as soon as you arrive in Africa, I would meet you at the airports and follow you to each and every lodge, most of which I would have suggested we go to from prior experience of being there and knowing that we'll be looked after properly. So the knowledge you get from using private guides is hugely beneficial in increasing or optimizing your stay out here. So that is another option, to take a private guide along with you, and he will make sure everything goes according to plan. And it's becoming more and more popular, private guiding, and there's a much bigger need for it now than there ever was, because people like to try and ensure that they're going to have an incredible stay when they go out here. And it's not to say that any of the lodges won't provide that for you, but I think taking a private guide along is an extra backup plan to make sure everything goes smoothly. Good question though, Doug. Very good question, and I'm glad you asked it, because it's no use me telling you the issues you may face out here if you do come out on safari without giving you any tips as to how to get around it. So thanks for asking that, Doug. A question has just come through from Terry on Twitter. Good afternoon, Terry, and welcome on board. Terry's asking if warthogs actually do have warts. Yes, they do. They have wart-like protrusions, large knobs that grow out of their face. The males have got 2 out of each side of their face, and the females have the 1 or smaller one. I'm getting very confused now, which I shouldn't be. But they do have wart-like protrusions on their faces, but they're not really wart-like. They're just funny growths that look nothing like a wart, actually. So I guess Terry, they do have warts. Oh, hello, Impala. This is the same herd we saw this morning. This male's tagging along. I guess he's just making himself feel better about life, but it actually means absolutely nothing, the fact that he's with them. These aren't his ladies. Oh, look at them all go. These aren't his ladies, and he's getting nothing out of being here other than extra eyes and ears for protection. In a couple of months' time, the rutting season will be underway, and then males will compete heavily with one another in order to acquire territories, and then females. But at the moment, there's no mating. So interesting that he is lurking about you, because typically the men only hang around the females if there's something to benefit from. He is benefit from the numbers, but he could also be doing that in a bachelor herd, as most Impala would be doing now. So not sure why he has decided to do it, but not uncommon to see males lurking around the females in abnormal times. Quite a gloomy evening because there's a lot of clouds on the eastern horizon, so it hasn't been as bright as it is. Although they would have said so. Maybe it's simply that I'm losing track of time. Okay, just 12 minutes to go, so I need to start making on towards the fireside chat, and we kind of are on schedule. We carry on bumbling along as we are. now my mind's playing games and making me saying that I should have stayed in that area around treehouse leopard, but that won't happen. Treehouse leopard, but that won't. Look out. Just heard of a very little small owl calling. I wonder if we're going to be able to spot it. It's not doing its proper call, it's just doing a kind of abbreviated version of it. But it's enough to hopefully lead us towards it. Where are you? Somewhere on the left of the road here. Ooh, look at that. Big hole behind us. It's either a barred owl or a pearl-spotted owl, owlet rather. They're tiny, tiny little owls. Sadly too far off the road. I can hear it, it's up ahead there somewhere, but it's just so thick here that it'll definitely fly off if we crash through all these bushes. Oh, that's a pity. Well, let's try not to reverse into this hole again. Oh, that's a Franklin. Just behind us. Beautiful silhouette opportunity here. Oh, well done, Vian. There you go, some go away birds. And another one. Am I going to have to stay alive on drive for longer? What's the plan? Yeah, that'll be useful so I can plan a route. Oh, this is a pretty scene. And these buffalo don't have a worry in the world. Not right now, they don't. Beautiful evening, and I'm just gonna have a quick look and see if that python's still dangling from the tree with the weaver's nest, because I haven't heard anything further on that. And
Fell off yesterday.
did it fall off yesterday? Okay. Oh, thanks, Graham. So the snake is gone, and I'm sure the terrapins and catfish thoroughly enjoyed that meal. So, one final reminder just before we finish this little afternoon safari. We are going to be doing our 1 hour fireside chats. It's the last fireside chat we'll be doing for this production. So, please join in and get some questions through. It's going to be difficult to answer everyone's, but it always is. But we'll do our best, and we'd love you to join in. So in the next few minutes, we'll be starting that up, and Mark and Jason are already there, and they've got the fire going, and everything is already underway. Them Two minutes left. We bump nose. But what is fleeing around and really look forward to it. Like I said, join in, try and get questions through, and hopefully we'll be able to answer them. If not, you'll have to wait for the next production, or at least you can try and get those answers through during the drives at least, not necessarily. We don't necessarily have to answer them at the campfire chat. We may be able to answer them during this last week. Sounds like he will be taking a leave this week, so I'm not sure exactly when he's going. It'll just be myself on drive, in all likelihood Tuesday, Thursday. It'll be Friday, but we'll post it as soon as we know what's going on. I might have to sort a few things, and I also need to leave one day early in order to get onto a course we're doing in Cape Town next year, a 2-week course. Sorry, not next year, next month. So a course we're doing in Cape Town next year, a 2-week course. Sorry, not next year, next month. So it will just be Mark on the final Saturday of drives. Well, we're just approaching the fireside chat, so any second now Alex is going to cut across to Mark and I will see you there shortly. So look forward to it and we'll catch up with you around the fire.